Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Mission Matters Business Podcast, your source for all things business. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres. Keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, missionmatters.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today is a very special Reunion 2020 episode. What is that? That's when I had a guest on in the past, and I liked them so much I had to bring them right on back. So today's special return guest is Erin Claire. She's a human design guide and also a leadership coach. Erin, welcome back to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
So good to reconnect with you. It's like the podcast family reunion, I like to call it. I'm excited to get into what you're doing nowadays. And also, I don't want to assume that all of our new listeners caught your first episode we did last year. So I want to let's just start off with a little bit more of a background on what you're doing as a human design guide and a leadership coach, please.
Yeah, so I work with a system called Human Design, which is basically a personality assessment system that helps us understand how we're each wired to make decisions, communicate, work within teams, lead, cultivate relationships, literally all the things. There are about 2 billion different configurations. So my work is really with individuals to kind of give them a blueprint to how they're really designed to operate at their best in their careers and in their lives, and also to work with teams to really help them understand how they're going to design the best function optimally as a collective.
What are the so a lot of people out here listening, they're gonna be intrigued by your story. What are the right, just so that the right people follow up with you, what are the right types of clients or teams or things that you like working with?
Honestly, I think human design is a very new and kind of out there system, and so I think as long as someone is committed to their own growth and like open to seeing new ways of doing things, like I think anything's possible. I think that like if somebody's very resistant to change or even kind of looking at different parts of themselves, then it will be more challenging. I think within the context of teams, I often love working with startups and smaller teams just because they're just getting off the ground and they really put that much energy into helping them understand just the team dynamics and how to kind of best leverage the people they had early on. Just has such a powerful impact later on. But I work with a lot of more kind of teams that have been around for a while, and that's always useful because again, it's just helping them function better as a dynamic. But I think my favorites are probably the startups and the earlier teams.
Let's go a little bit more into your process. So let's talk a little bit more about, about human design, the human design guide and what that entails.
Yeah, so human design is when I say it's out there, it's because it's based on your exact time, date, and place of birth, which is totally wild. It's not astrology. It does pull from a lot of different systems, but basically that information gives us this kind of energetic blueprint in how someone's really meant to function at their best. And so it's very unlike a lot of other systems like Myers-Briggs or StrengthsFinder or DISC, because you're not answering questions based on who you think you are, often maybe sometimes who you aspire to be, but it's kind of just going at a different layer and just looking at what is your kind of blueprint for just operating in life, what is your operating manual. So I think that it's so funny because teams are where's the questionnaire? And there's no questionnaire. I think I expected a lot of, got nothing, but I think that I expected a lot of skepticism early on just because it is very new and individuals are often, my individual business, there's so many of them, but the team stuff is still pretty new. But I just think that the information itself is so grounded and so tactical and so actionable that my experience is that people just stop caring where it comes from. They're just oh my God, yes, this is helpful. Tell me more, tell me more, tell me more. So it's such a cool kind of bridge. It's such a cool thing to kind of bring it to those companies and watch that kind of reaction.
Wow, yeah. As soon as you said, where are the questions? Where's the Myers-Briggs? You're no, that's not exactly what it is. It's completely different. I love it. And I like it too, because sometimes you've done some of the, in my mind, especially if you're a company or corporation or individual that's done a lot of the other ones already. So meaning if you've already done those also and you want to build and kind of take it to the next level, and not saying you couldn't start with human design, but especially if you already done a lot of the other ones, this is kind of like taking it to the next level in my mind. Am I off?
Well, no, 100%. And I just looked at, and I think those systems are so valuable too. So I never want to disparage them. I think that it's really just, it's a different layer. And I think it gives us just such depth. And again, it's just so tactical. And so I think people are like, my business partner is a skeptic. I think I work with a lot of skeptics, but it's just like, I'm not even a skeptic in that they don't believe, but they're just like, they really want to understand it. And I think where we've landed is that like the information itself, whether or not it's true, is just so helpful, so valuable, and gives people a common language. And so I think when people have already worked with those systems, they've definitely demonstrated like, oh my God, I'm so curious to learn more, and also just like invest in making my team better.
Let's talk a little bit more about your leadership coach process. Tell us more about that, please.
So totally combined. So, my human design is what informs my role as a leadership coach, and it's more just when I'm working with CEOs or managers or leaders to kind of really help them build their team according to individual human design. And I think that's what actually drew me into human design in the first place, is that I worked at so many startups, I'd worked with so many companies that were just like so many amazing people, such great visions, but like just so much dysfunction. Like people just didn't really know how to work together. And so I think I was just like, oh my God, like when I discovered human design, I was like, oh, this is such an amazing language and framework to really understand each other and understand how we work. And so my leadership coaching is all through the lens of human design and how we can just fully leverage both an individual, like how they can really step into their own unique way of leading based on their human design, but also how they can build a fully kind of functional and excellent team, knowing how to fully leverage all the people on their team.
That's awesome. So what does a typical length of engagement look like, either for the workshops or for the or for leadership coaching? Like, what does that look like typically?
So, I mean, a lot of people do kind of one-off sessions just to kind of give them that blueprint, give them a download of exactly like how it is their design and give them the tools to really work with it in their own life. A lot of people want to like come back and explore in a deeper way, but like my intention is to kind of give them the toolbox. But then there are a lot of teams and individuals and leaders I work with in an ongoing way, because it's more, they're constantly hiring new people onto their team, letting go of people, like building a team, new leadership challenges. So in that lens, it's really like sitting with them weekly or on a bi-weekly basis to just kind of explore what's showing up in their leadership through the lens of human design, and how we can kind of use that to kind of help them make decisions that are really aligned and really are like, in the best interest of both themselves and also their team.
That's awesome. So, Erin, if somebody's listening to this and they want to connect to learn more, I mean, what's the best way for them to follow up?
So I am Erin Claire Jones everywhere. So my website's erinclairejones.com, and my Instagram is Erin Claire Jones, and all my offerings are on there. But I think one of the best places to get started if you're an individual is one of my offerings is called a blueprint, which is basically like a 30-page PDF on your unique design that kind of gives you all the tools you need to get started. So that's always a good place to start.
Perfect. Well, hey, Erin, it's been great catching up with you on this Reunion 2020 episode. I'm glad to have you back on. Glad to hear more of your story and what you're up to. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, leave me a review on the Apple iTunes Store, and if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, Mission Matters Business, definitely give us a subscribe there, but also leave us some comments in the video. Love to hear what you're working on and what you have going on in your life also. And Erin, thanks again for coming back on the show.